Today is Sunday, April 5th, and welcome to episode 18 of the Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Kane White. Easter Sunday, he is risen indeed. Today, I am thankful that God sent his one and only son, Jesus Christ, to die on the cross so that I can spend eternity in heaven. I will shout that to the mountaintops for as long as I live. Very blessed to have a forgiving Savior. I'm thankful to be in a country and a spot in my life that I can spread his word and do my best to glorify him in all that I do. I'm not perfect. I fall short on a daily basis, but I sure am thankful that I serve a forgiving Savior in Jesus Christ. And so happy Easter Sunday to all of you out there. I'm also blessed to be able to have the freedom to experience phenomenal places on this earth. A week ago, I returned from a week-long spring break trip in Hamburg, Germany to see my long-lost friend, Rasmus Bernsen. Rasmus was a foreign exchange student at Truman High School when I was a junior. Coach Waymeyer, our football coach, brought him into the football locker room in August of 2013, and I tell you what, our friendship started right there. He was just one of us. Ended up being our starting kicker on our football team. Ended up playing some baseball with us, and just was one of us. Was just a Truman Wildcat through and through, and became one of my dear friends. And it had been 12 years since I had seen him, since the day he left to go back to Germany. And the look on his face, and I know he saw the joyful look on my face when we saw each other for the first time right there outside of customs in the Hamburg airport. It was pretty special. And so got to spend a week catching up with him. 12 years of filling each other in. Like we hadn't seen each other in 12 years, and so we had to catch up quite a bit. A lot of stories to be told about my life and about his, and that was what I cherished the most about that trip, is those nights after we did sightseeing and went on trips in the country of Germany, just to be able to sit down and catch up and tell stories and remind each other of some of the times we had when he was over here, and to catch up on each other's lives. And that meant the most to me, is just to get to catch up with an old friend, but also the historical significance of the country of Germany. As soon as I got to Hamburg, he was taking me around the city by car, and we stopped at this place called Bunker St. Pauli, which was a bunker in World War II, and it's still standing to this day. And they leave it standing to show, what could have been if World War II had looked different. But they have built this beautiful hotel and garden on top of it to show progress and prosperity in the country of Germany. And it's this huge, tall structure where you can see the whole city. So we went to the top of it. That was a super cool thing to see. Went to Berlin one day, saw the Berlin Wall, and to see such an important piece of history, and a sad part of history, but to get to see something that has that much significance is very rare. And so I was blessed to be able to see places like that, and just the overall architecture of the country of Germany, how they've kept these buildings as is for hundreds and hundreds of years. It was truthfully breathtaking. We took a ride on the Autobahn, one of the only places in the world that doesn't have a speed limit. And so that was maybe a little bit terrifying, but I was in good hands with my buddy Rasmus there at the wheel. So got to experience that, and just to embrace a different culture. All the food there was phenomenal. The fresh breads, the fresh cheeses. Tried schnitzel for the first time, which I was a huge fan of. And just experience a different way of life. All the public transportation that they use. I'd only been on, a train or a subway once in my life, and that was in New York City like 13 years ago. And so we did public transportation a lot, and just to communicate with the German people. Everybody there speaks English, and so I don't know too much German. And so all the people of Germany were so kind to speak to me in my language, and but everyone there was so welcoming. And Rasmus, his fiance Emma, his friend Finn, his mother, and so many other people that we met. His brother Jasper had a sweet golf simulator that we played on. All those people that I met were so welcoming, and I'm so thankful that they welcomed me with open arms. And I can see myself taking another trip to Germany in my life. So I'm also now got a soccer club that I'm a fan of, FC St. Pauli. right here on my chest. My buddy Rasmus hooked me up with this sweet customized jersey. Got some stickers hanging up here in the studio as well. They play in the Bundesliga, which is the highest division of soccer or football in Germany. And so there wasn't a home game, sadly, so didn't get to see them play, but got to see the stadium and how beautiful it was. And I'll be looking forward to keeping up with FC St. Pauli, the Jolly Rogers, as the season progresses after the World Cup. But glad to be back at home in the same breath, to see my wife and all my family. Just enjoyed a great Easter lunch with my father's family, enjoyed a great Easter lunch with my mother's family yesterday, and to get to tell stories about the trip and to catch up with a bunch of family. So it's been great. Flipping over to sports, the college basketball national championship is set with Michigan and Connecticut facing off in the college basketball national championship. I'm taking UConn. I think they're hot at the right time. Their coach is fired up nonstop. He pours a lot into his players, and so I'm taking maybe the underdog in the game, the underdog story. I love a good underdog, so I'm taking the Huskies of UConn to win that one, but it should be a great game nonetheless. One of my favorite sports weekends of the year is right on tap next weekend with the Masters at Augusta National. Said it on this podcast multiple times. It's on my sports bucket list. I will find a way to go to the Masters at some point in my life, but I'll be tuned in all weekend to one of the best sports atmospheres and sports traditions in the world in the Masters at Augusta. Taking Matt Fitzpatrick to win the Masters this year. Mark it down. I think Matt Fitzpatrick will get it done. Baseball season is here as well as we're in the month of April. Liking the look of the youngest roster in the MLB, the St. Louis Cardinals, my St. Louis Cardinals. So high hopes for the young studs up there in St. Louis. Like I said, April is here. Mine and my wife's birthday month. We'll be celebrating our 29th and 27th birthdays respectfully on the same day on April 23rd. So ready to make that happen. Got a big Morgan Wallen concert coming up next weekend down in Tuscaloosa at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Never been to that stadium. Didn't get to play against Alabama during my time in Arkansas. So going to see a little Morgan Wallen concert down at Bryant-Denny Stadium at Saban Field. Saw Treaty Oak Revival in concert a couple weeks back. They put on a great show as well. I'm a big concert guy, and so got to see Treaty Oak. They're in my top 5 right now, and of course, number 1, Morgan Wallen himself. We'll be seeing him next weekend. So really looking forward to a lot of cool stuff coming up. Merchandise, summer merchandise for the M Huddle podcast is finalized. Got 3 hat options, 5 shirt options, and some summer colors and some different designs. Cannot wait for you all to see that. Finalizing a website and a way to put that out to the world for you to get on your head or on your chest. In the Huddle summer drop coming extremely soon. Hopefully we'll have that all out by Memorial Day, but really excited for you guys to see these sweet designs. My friend Cody Crittenden and I have been working tirelessly to get some pretty sweet stuff out there. So thanks to him. Ready for you guys to see the merch. But episode 18, my guest. I've said it a ton on this podcast. I am surrounded by some amazing humans in my life, and I'm extremely blessed to be surrounded by some awesome humans. And this is just another one. A God-fearing and adventurous and a hilarious friend of mine. He's a solo travel extraordinaire, a groomsman in my wedding, and the defensive coordinator of Hoxie Mustang football. It's time to get in the huddle with Mr. Austin Williams. So I found myself in Germany checking my people's locations on my phone, and saw my mom. She's in Jonesboro. Taylor's at work. My little brother's at work, and then I see you. You're in Italy, and you're the closest person to me. Yeah, that was so funny to think about that we were both in Europe at the same time. How was Italy? We haven't talked about it much this week.
Man, I've been on several trips, and this was by far the best experience of my life. Good. I've always wanted to go across to Europe, and I finally had the opportunity to. And man, Italy was amazing.
That's
the
good.
Food, the sights, just the general vibe. going into detail about each one is just breathtaking, man.
That's great. That's great. I kind of felt that same way about Germany, and just the food, the sights. Like, there's just so much to take in, and you might feel this way, you might not. Like, there's ways that culture is completely different from ours, but then there's ways that it's really the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here with my good buddy Austin Williams for episode 18 of the In the Huddle podcast. Been waiting to hop on here with him for a while, and it's funny that our friendship kind of started through travel.
Yes,
and it started with our good buddy Gunnar Cook's bachelor trip down in Panama City, and we come back and we coach against each other, and then we start hanging out, and then we go to Phoenix, Arizona together. And that trip was a doozy. It really was.
That was one of the craziest trips of my life because it was kind of unintentional.
Right, it was.
We went to watch Gavin Stone pitch. I had never met Gavin.
Right.
The first time I met Gavin was in Phoenix after we get there for his trip.
Right.
So I tagged along with you, and we were separate from everyone else who got there earlier in the day because me and you, we tried to save money.
That's right.
So we found a direct flight from Memphis to Vegas. I sat by Sean Livingston on the plane. We get there. And it's like a $60 flight. We're going to split a rental.
Yep.
We get in the rental car, go around the corner of the gas station before we take off down the road. It's me, you, and one other guy in the gas station. And that dude starts talking. We kind of look at each other. Where's he from?
Marktree, Arkansas. That was really insane. Like, it shows you how small this world is. That me and you, Las Vegas, Nevada, the first time really me and you had hung out, just us.
Yeah.
And we get the rental car from the airport, go to the gas station, waiting in line for the bathroom key, and it's me, you, and a guy from Marktree there. That was really crazy.
Man, it set off a really good road trip because it's about 4 hours, give or take, between Vegas and Phoenix, and we stopped off at the Hoover Dam, which was breathtaking.
It really was.
And just the landscape, being Northeast Arkansas, some fantastic views, but it's a different kind of view whenever you're going through the desert. Like, we saw the signs, like on the movies, hey, you've got to stop and get gas because for the next 80 miles, you're out of luck.
Ain't nothing.
We went through, I cannot remember, it was like White Hills or something, the Gerard dude.
Jerome, the Buffalo Barbecue thrift shop.
And it's a thrift shop and a restaurant all in one. We pull up and it's like a dude's living room with stuff along the wall, and they've got like a menu of food.
Yeah, really good barbecue too.
Great barbecue, fantastic.
That was one of the cool parts of the trip. And then we get to rolling down. I guess it's Interstate 40.
Yeah,
and man, what was cool about that when I look back is we were just talking. Like,
yes.
we were getting to know each other. We were coaching against each other at the time, but really getting to know each other on a personal level. Going down the interstate, I guess in my mind, I'm driving this Volkswagen Jetta or whatever we had, and then we're just rolling. I'm thinking that this interstate goes all the way to Phoenix, right? Like, it's got to.
Yeah.
And then you said, Kane, we missed our exit. And I'm like, exit? What do you mean? Like, this has got to take us all the way to Phoenix. And that was going to Flagstaff.
Yeah.
So we had to double back and finally made it to Phoenix and watched Gavin play. That was a really good weekend.
Great weekend.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
Yep, good spring break trip. So that's kind of how our friendship really started, and it's grown into something really cool. And we'll get into more of that in a little bit. But, going back to Italy, and while I was in Germany, my Germany trip was my first time out of the United States.
Yeah.
And I know for you, that's definitely not the case. What's your list look like? How many countries have you been to now?
Country-wise, it's kind of funny because I start off with the U.S. territory.
Right.
And I did it as solo trips. So I wanted to throw too much flack on my mom, but we had talked about doing family vacations. It never went through. She was like, oh, we'll do it whenever. And it just didn't. So one day I texted her, I was like, hey, I just booked a plane ticket. I'm going to Puerto Rico.
Right.
So my family's all freaking out because who goes on a solo trip by themselves to a random place, right?
You.
And I got on a plane. It was right after Christmas, and I flew to San Juan, Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. First, I'd flown one time in my life before this point. I went on a trip.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It was 2019, and I went on a bachelor trip to Vegas, of all places.
Right.
And I was like 12 deep on the plane with the guys I knew.
Right.
So even though it was my first time, it was really, I was surrounded by dudes.
Right.
And then this is the end of 2021, 2022, somewhere in that ballpark.
Sounds right.
I think it was the end of 2022.
May have been. Because is that the same trip that you drove over to Hot Springs and met me in Colbert?
Exactly. Yeah. I drove in on the New Year's.
Yeah.
So I start off, I went to Puerto Rico, and man, I'm on this plane going across the water for the first time, and it's straight Spanish speakers on the plane. I don't know a lick of Spanish at the time. So there's this one lady I'm sitting by who can communicate with me because she splits her time between the States and Puerto Rico. We get down there. It's like 4:30 in the morning. I've been up all day. She's like, oh, there's this great barbecue shack. You know, get an Uber, go down there and eat. Because I can't check into my Airbnb till like 1.
Oh, man.
And I've got my duffel bag of just whatever, you know.
Right.
So I get in the Uber. Dude can't speak a lick of English. I can't speak a lick of Spanish. We drive over to the barbecue place, which is like 30 minutes into town. Like airport, I'm going south. We get there, it's closed.
Oh, man.
He looks at me, I look at him, we both go. So he gets his little Google Translate out on the phone. We're just typing stuff in, trying to communicate. I just go pizza. Thumbs up. He takes me over the coast.
Let's go.
Drops me off at a pizzeria. I sat down, listened to these folks yelling in Spanish about a soccer football game.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched that for a couple hours, walk out with my duffel bag on the beach, watch the sunrise. It was fantastic.
That's great. That's great. So, like you said, people don't really realize how far south Argentina is. And so that was a long one, yeah?
Yeah. It was Puerto Rico. Then we went on our Arizona trip. And then it was that summer. It was June to July, the very end of June, start of July. I flew down to Buenos Aires, Argentina, which is kind of funny because the trips I've been on, like whenever I went to Puerto Rico, I was looking at going to the Bahamas.
Right.
Whenever I went to Argentina, I was looking at going to Peru.
Wow.
But financial reasons and what's going on in the different countries, the ease of travel, it kind of leads me to the destinations. I don't really have it set in stone.
Fair enough.
So I went from Memphis to Atlanta, and from Atlanta to Buenos Aires, if I'm not mistaken, was a 12-hour nonstop flight.
My goodness, man.
And it was insane. We flew over every little bit of South America you can imagine. And we get all the way down there, and it was about 2.5 days before I had an English conversation.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. I'm sure it had to be really refreshing when you finally got back and got to speak some English with people.
Well, it's funny because I was walking through a plaza, like, you know, in certain countries, they eat dinner way later.
Correct, yes.
So I get over there, it's this plaza. I mean, it's probably midnight, 1 a.m., and I'm walking back to the apartment I got, another Airbnb, and I hear 3 dudes speaking in clear English. So I pivot, go straight at them.
Absolutely.
And I walk up, I'm like, hey, guys, how y'all doing tonight? And they just keep going. Because, you know, if you're in big cities, other countries, someone comes up talking to you, you think it's a scam, someone's asking for something, they keep going. I'm like, oh, my bad, guys, I'm a tourist, I'm a solo traveler. They all stop, they go, we're solo travelers.
Wow.
It was 3 separate dudes who had met up on some excursion. And they're like, hey, you want to come out with us? And I was like, yeah, man, let's go. So I ended up linking up with an Italian, which is funny since I just went to Italy. I actually texted him for some tips.
That's cool.
I went out with a Englishman and a dude from Texas.
Wow.
So we kind of got to kick it and go have a good time. And the next dude, we actually had a dude link up with us the next day who worked in the NFL front office.
I remember that. Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Man. It really is a small world.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah, it is for sure. So, you know, of all these trips you've been on, and there's some that we haven't even really talked about yet, you know, you've done a lot of these solo by yourself. You know, where was the courage? You know, where'd you find the courage to do that?
Man, I just kind of honestly looked at it as if I don't do it myself, it might never happen.
That's fair.
And
yeah.
I'm the type of guy that's like, if I want something, if I have the ambition, I'm going to go do it.
That's right.
So, you know, again, not putting flack on my mom. I love her to death. But whenever we weren't taking these family trips that we were talking about doing, I was like, I'm going to go do something because I'm not just going to sit here and let the years go by and be like, hey, I'm going to go to Puerto Rico. And then that led to me going, you know what? I survived, even though there was some circumstances with me not being able to communicate and taking me out of my comfort zone. What else can I go see?
Right.
And that kind of led to me discovering Argentina and seeing all the asado, the steaks they have. Argentina has some of the best steaks in the world.
Yes. Very good meat is what you told me when you got back.
I went to a steakhouse with some of those solo travelers, and we split 3 steaks, which is very cheap for us, which, you know, they have the whole conversation of what's cheap for tourists isn't cheap for the locals, but that's a whole different discussion. We split 3 steaks for like $20 on my part, and the waiter walks out. He's just talking to us. He gets a spoon and starts slicing through the steaks to give us our portions.
Got to be tender.
It was the most tender steak I've had my entire life.
Wow.
It was incredible.
That's great, man.
Unreal.
That's insane. So, you know, you've done Italy, you've done Argentina. You say Italy's your favorite.
Yes.
You say maybe the craziest experience was your first one in Puerto Rico. Maybe what's another one that you really enjoyed?
Man, I also went to Aruba.
Right.
The fall of 23. It was in December, right before Christmas, or maybe right after. It was right after to bring New Year's. I spent Christmas there, then I left the day after. And that was really, really cool because it was a tropical paradise. And it was different from the vibes I'd had previously, because San Juan, I stayed in the downtown area.
Right.
Old San Juan is one of the oldest places in the Western Hemisphere with regards to the Spanish being here.
Correct.
So I was there seeing all the historical sites since I'm a huge history buff. And then Buenos Aires is a major city. It's like 12 to 15 million people.
Right.
So me being there, surrounded by all this different history, going through each neighborhood, which had its own local identity. And whenever I was there, I did a day trip to Uruguay and went and saw some history there. Mm-hmm. So being on a small island in comparison to Puerto Rico and anywhere else, and just being on basically a resort type setting, even though I didn't stay in a resort because, Airbnb right off the coast, saving some money.
That's right.
It would take me about 15 minutes to walk to the beach. I'd set up my chair there and just enjoy it, man. It was gorgeous weather.
Awesome.
The sand there, it's unique because it's just below the hurricane belt, so they don't really have to worry about that.
Right.
And then you walk on the sand, you go to the beach and you're like, oh, you got to do the hot feet to get in the water. It's like the sand, it was so fine. Whatever the texture was, it was absorbing the heat and it was cool regardless.
Wow. That's interesting. I didn't know that about your Aruba trip. That's really good.
Yeah. I don't know the science behind it, but man, it was very enjoyable because you could walk up and down anywhere and you didn't have to worry about, I got to run to get in the water. It was just really, really nice. The scenic views were cool. It's one of the most photogenic places on earth, if you ask me, because of just the east side of the island's a desert and the west side's tropical paradise, and it's like 70 to 80 degrees.
Man, that's perfect. And obviously you went, around Christmas time, so it was good to get out of that cold Arkansas weather for sure, right?
That's how I love doing it, man. If I take a trip, I kind of want to flip-flop the climate. Like what they don't realize is Argentina's in the south of the Earth, southern hemisphere.
Right.
So I left in June, July, hot summertime. It was like 90-something degrees. Mm-hmm. I get there because the seasons are flipped. It was like 50.
Okay. See, I didn't know that either.
So, yeah, it was really cool to, I'm flying out of Memphis. It's 90 degrees. I got a jacket and stuff on because I know it's going to be hot it's going to be cool there.
Right.
So it's nice to be able to change what you're used to living in and just get a fresh temperature, really.
Yeah, you always got a game plan when you travel, man. And
right.
you went back. Yeah, I'm gonna go back. You said, you didn't want to waste the years away, and you wanted to go. My mom's got this great quote. Shout out to Mama Carrie, and she says, "Buy the shoes, eat the cake, and take the trip because life is short." I think you're the perfect example of that with the way you live life.
I try, man. I always try and live every moment like it's the last because you never know when it's going to be the last,
That's right.
You've got to enjoy your life, enjoy everything that's there, and take your happiness where you can get it because we're not guaranteed the next day.
Right. I've picked up on that, from you in the past 5 years. You've taught me that without saying a word, just by your actions and the way you live, even on the day-to-day basis, just the way you attack life, in the work day and just on a daily basis, which we'll get into a little bit later on. But, I've looked up to you in that way because of the way you love life. So thank you for pouring into me in that way.
Man, absolutely.
So we talked about all your travel, and that's obviously there's so many more stories and details. But what's next? Because I always know that you're looking forward to what's next. So where's Austin Williams headed to next?
That is the $1 million question. And for the first time, I really don't have it lined up. I would love to go to Prague. I'd love to go back to Europe and see more of the Germanic type settings. Which you going to Germany was awesome,
right?
So I'd like to see that. Something biblical, such as going to Jerusalem, visiting Israel. Yeah. I'd love to go in that context. Or, man, Southeast Asia's gotten a lure to me as well. I love some Thai food.
Right. Yes, you do. So you're a big Thai guy.
I'd love to go over there. I know a couple people in Vietnam, actually, so it'd be kind of cool to go there. I like going places I got connections to, which I've been blessed to meet quite a few people from around the world.
Of course.
So anywhere I can kind of get a hookup to be like, hey, this is where to go. This is what to do. I'm all ears for that. Japan. I mean, that's the problem with traveling. There's always the next so much more.
Right.
So I've kind of got to pinpoint it down. I kind of got areas I'd like to see, but the next trip's kind of up in the air right now.
So you've got an idea, but you've kind of explained it that you're a game time decision guy, wherever the wind kind of takes you. So I'll be looking forward to see where you land next. But like you said, you like going where you have connections. That's what made me feel so comfortable in Germany.
Yeah.
Is I had my good buddy Rasmus, who I've known for 12 years. And, we played high school football together and we became really good friends. And so that made me feel a lot more comfortable my first time out of the States, whereas you just went for it. So I may have cheated a little bit.
That's okay, though, because, man, just being able to have that connection that you're going to find in a friend there, I know that was a fantastic experience. How did he welcome you whenever you got there?
Man, he was just right there outside of border control. He was just right there waiting on me. We hugged real big, and man, it was like he hasn't changed a bit. Like I can just remember him from the day he left, and I knew exactly who he was, obviously. And so as soon as he welcomed me there, we just took a car ride around the city of Hamburg, which travel by car there, like we talked about, isn't very popular. A lot of public transportation, but man, just took me all around the districts of Hamburg and seeing the architecture and kind of just getting the lay of the land, really, just so I could have an idea of where his apartment is related to, the football stadium or soccer stadium, related to the city center, related to the harbor and things of that nature. So that was kind of the welcome and really just catching up, on the past 12 years of our life. That was a really special moment.
Man, that's awesome. It's tough to fit 12 years into that small time frame, but man, it's just about the experience of being with someone who, appreciates it.
That's right. We gave it our best go. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So we've been friends for 5 years now. I mean, we've been really, really tight, even when we weren't working together. That's the thing. Some people think that we got really close when we started working together, but it's much more deeper than that.
Yeah.
You were a groomsman at our wedding. We get to work together on a daily basis, but I've never asked you this. Why teaching and coaching? What got you into that? What led you down that path?
It's funny you mentioned that because everything kind of fell into place.
Okay.
So it goes back into high school. Into my senior year, played ball, had success in high school, but I wasn't the type of athlete that was going to get the offers like Cole Sears was.
Of course. Yeah.
So he was committed to UAM, and I had a couple NAIAs on the table, but it was going to be very expensive. And we've already talked about my financial sense. I wasn't about to go take that money out.
Right.
Personally, I was preparing myself to just go to Arkansas State, join a frat, do whatever, just kind of hang out.
Right.
But I was still working out in preparation for what if.
Right.
And that's another thing. You've always got to prepare for what if in life.
Yes.
But Cole still denies this conversation because he doesn't really remember it happening. But man, we're working out one day. We're just talking, and he misheard what I said. He went and told his dad, Coach Sears, that I decided I was going to UAM.
Really?
So I never actually consciously made that decision too.
So Cole twisted your arm,
He
really?
twisted my arm, and it was the best thing that could have happened for me.
Of course.
So I went down to UAM as a walk-on, had to earn my keep, ended up having a lot of great friends and memories down there. Put me in some positions to get into exercise science classes because initially I was thinking personal training.
Okay.
We had a dude down there who was very successful in Texas as a personal trainer, selling gym equipment, all that stuff.
Okay.
I walk into a chemistry class, biology class, one of those sciences. The very next day, I went and changed my major to coaching.
Fair enough.
Because I was like, science is not for me. I'm around coaching. I know football because I try to be a student of the game where I can. And it allowed me to get into the education program, which through a series of unfortunate events, such as me breaking my jaw,
right,
I ended up serving as a student assistant my senior year at UAM, which one of our coaches told me if I was doing any more jobs, I would have been doing his GA job for him.
Right.
I was doing a lot of behind-the-scene film breakdown and things of that nature, so I had a little bit of a coaching background on top of what I already had as playing. And then that spring semester, because I graduated early, I was actually teaching at the university as a graduate assistant.
Right.
So not related with the football program, but I was with a Department of Education, teaching a couple of team sports, individual sports classes.
Cool.
So I kind of already had the coaching background, even though I wasn't a true coach, at UAM.
Right.
And then I had the education background because they just pretty much said, hey, here's your office, here's your classroom, go teach.
No roadmap. Figure it out.
No, I was 22 years old teaching a dude that was 40 and a couple of foreign exchange students, and I had kids Snapchatting me, hey, what's the assignment for tomorrow?
That's insane.
So it kind of led one thing next to the other. And then I decided, hey, I can't just be sitting in this office all day. I want to get into coaching, like, for real.
Right, of course.
And I put my name out there for a few spots. I had an interview lined up in Northeast Arkansas, but then I had a school be like, hey, my son-in-law, he coaches in Southeast Arkansas. How about we go down there and eat at a restaurant in Monticello?
Okay.
So we all met up. It was like out of a movie, honestly. We went and ate at the local place downtown. He offered me a job for a junior high position. I was like, you know what? I really want to accept it, but I'm going to honor this other commitment I've got.
Okay. And
I get in the truck. I'm driving back to my apartment, and Coach Sears calls me.
Let's go.
About the week prior, Coach Blake accepted a job across the tracks.
Okay.
And me and Cole were on the game joking, oh, Austin Williams, next defensive coordinator. And Coach Sears was like, hey, man, I know you've got these interviews, but how do you feel about coming home?
Man.
So kind of everything just rolled into the next. I got the opportunity to come back home, and I've been coaching here, loving it ever since.
Man, that's just absolute perfect timing. I mean, that couldn't play out any better. Kind of played out the way me getting to Hoxie played out in a way a little bit obviously down the road.
Yeah.
But man, that's super cool that you kind of got your taste of college coaching. You got your taste of college education. And then you figured out that's not really what you wanted to do maybe. Mm-hmm. And then you really went into your career the right way. And so you got tastes of different experiences before you got to the high school level. So I find that very important. Yeah, that's great. That really is. And so what's the most rewarding part of your job? I mean, I know we kind of talk about those things on a daily basis, but, in your 7 years at Hoxie, what have you found the most rewarding part of it?
Community.
Absolutely. Okay.
It's all the people that you're around, because if you think about it, once you get in the real world, as they call it, with the way we have our life set up, you go home and that's that. Right. You don't have, sure, you've got your group chats, you got your messages, you got your guys, but the community, the fellowship of being in a coaching brotherhood, it's really like a frat. It's still being on a team with guys.
Right.
And it allows you to have people that's going to have your back no matter what. So just being in that type of environment, and the people that will come and hit you up down the road. Like I know Coach Sears had all these different players he's coached throughout the years, but even me in the past 7, I'll have one guy come out and cut my pasture in front of my house just to chop it up with me every now and then.
Right.
So it's kind of cool to have all those guys that you've coached still involved and checking on them down the road to see how well they've been doing.
Of course. Yeah, and that's something that me and Coach Sears talked about when I had him on. When you see guys you coach go be husbands and fathers and they have successful lives, I mean, that's really rewarding to me.
Yeah.
But that sense of community, that's something that I appreciate a lot, but I've never really hit that as a value. But now that you say it, like maybe I should. I mean, because the brotherhood that we have as a staff is nothing short of special. It really is. I mean, the 8 guys in that office, we get along great, and man, we're invested in each other's lives. It's not just work. It really is family. Mm-hmm. And so, that is really special. You don't get that in all jobs in this world.
Minuscule. Yeah. Very few, honestly.
And so we are blessed to be able to have that sense of family and of community, like you said, in our job.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. It's just another added layer to what's already rewarding. I mean, who wouldn't want to be out there coaching football on Friday nights?
That's right. There ain't nothing like it, is there? Ain't nothing like it. The Saturdays at the college level were special, and but man, that Friday night feeling, man, that butterfly feeling in your stomach, it still gets me every Friday night.
Yeah,
for sure. So, you bring an electric energy that players and really everybody around you loves. I even feed off of it. Where does that energy level come from? Where's that motivation come from? Is that from your playing days, or is that something that you found, in your coaching career?
Man, it's honestly always kind of been like that. I don't want to toot my own horn as much, but like I've always kind of had the chip on my shoulder, feel like an underdog, and
of course,
like I feel like I've always got to go the extra mile. I never want anyone to outwork me, and I never want anyone to think that I'm not giving my very best.
Right.
I remember there was one time in high school that Coach Palmer said, "No, you didn't want that contact," and I said, "I'm never going to have anyone even think that thought for another second." So I'm always, I don't care. Like Dylan Cagle was 6'9", 330 pounds, and I was jumping down to go against him on the boards every day.
Let's go.
Like, it doesn't matter who you are.
Get some.
I love getting some, and the thing is, I don't care if I'm going to get pancaked. That's what people don't appreciate. Like, you are going to get your block knocked off sometimes, and you just got to get up and smile, go get some more.
That's right. That's right.
So that's what I always try and bring to the table, regardless if it's in a coaching position. For my playing days, man, I love just bringing the pain.
Man, I love that. So that that energy that you have as a player, translates right to your profession and your job, and I really like that. And you said that you don't want anyone to ever outwork you, and I know sometimes I get under your skin. This guy loves doing laundry. This guy is the football laundry king. We will race to the laundry room some days so you can get the laundry put in first. And that's like that sense of community and brotherhood too, because that's like all in fun.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a lot of fun, man. I love being around you on a daily basis, and I know everybody that we work with does too. So, I kind of hit on this earlier, but on a Friday night when you walk out to coach, do you get the same feeling when you played, or is it a different feeling? Are you more nervous, less nervous? What does that look like?
It's different, but it's got a lot of similarities. Like, it's a different perspective, I feel like, which comes with age and experience.
Of course.
Because, you're more confident in your preparation whenever you do the X's and O's. You understand what you've got behind you. You understand what the opponent's going to do. But, like, I would be lying if I say I'm not nervous.
Right.
Like, I know exactly what the tendencies are. I know exactly what's going to be out there. But we still got to go execute.
Mm-hmm.
You never know when something freakish is going to happen. So I always try and prepare myself with film study, doing everything I need to do. But it's just like those butterflies are going to be there regardless until that first play. And then as soon as you get going, it's like a football player. Like, you go out there, you're nervous as can be. You make first contact, boom, now you're locked in.
Because it goes by so fast. You don't have time to be nervous or really even think. You've got to more react when you're out there. You do all your thinking throughout the week, in my opinion, and then you react on a Friday night.
You always regress to your habits and your training. So you always prepare to the highest level that you can. And then I just hate the dead time because it makes me just keep going through everything over and over again. But once it's go time, then we're going.
That's why I try to keep you busy on those Friday afternoons on that dead time. I try to make you laugh or give you a little bit of banter to make you smile a little bit.
Man, if you see me, I'm doing something to the last minute. Like, I'm literally the last guy to get changed because I'm always just doing something before we go out.
Keep yourself busy so you don't throw up. I was a big puker when I was a head coach. Yeah. So, but my nerves came from similar to what you said, like I was prepared. Like I knew what I thought was going to happen, but you got this sense of you don't want to let your kids down. Exactly. You don't want to let those kids that are having the best time of life, you don't want to let them down and put them in a bad spot. And you don't want to let the community down, the people in the stands that, spend their hard-earned money for, on high school football tickets are $5 to $10 now. And so, that's not just, chump change by any means. And so, that's kind of where my nerves come from, is I just want to put, those kiddos in the best possible position so they can go have success.
Yep. That's exactly how I feel, man. You don't want to let your brothers down. That goes back to the community and brotherhood. Like, it holds you accountable because you're not going to do something that's selfish because it doesn't just affect you. It affects everyone else in the program.
Right.
That's why we preach to the kids. Like, hey, if you miss this day, if you miss this rep, you miss your assignment, it's not just you. This is not an individual sport. It's going to affect everyone else out there.
Right. And that's one thing that I constantly find myself saying in my health classes. When we talk about decision making in so many different categories, when you make a decision in life, it doesn't only affect you, it affects your family, your friends. Heck, it affects so many different people. And so that's why I tell those kids it's so important to think before you speak or think before you act, because the smallest decision can have really big effects down the road. Mm-hmm. Yes. So, this is kind of funny. I've done some research and looked back in my career. I've coached against you 4 times, and that's not what a lot of people think about because we're such good friends, and we were rivals at one point. I've coached against you 4 times, but I'm 0-4. But now we get to coach together. Did you enjoy beating me more, or do you enjoy coaching with me more? That's the big question I have.
I mean, I love coaching with you, but I'm not going to lie. Come on, it's fun to win now. It's fun to win.
It is.
I'll never forget that 2021 year.
Man.
Benesh is a senior. It was KIT Game of the Week.
Oh, I thought that was my Super Bowl. And that was like a regular day for you guys.
Yeah. Man, it was hyped up, and we came out with that new defense you had.
I had no clue. What to do, man. You got me on that one. And so, hey, he said it here first. He enjoys beating me more than he likes coaching with me. So, and that's why I'm going to beat you when we run out the door. I'm going to compete against you.
Oh, boy.
But, we didn't really know each other at the time. And that was a really big game. It ended up being for the conference championship. And, my first year as a head coach, I had no idea what the heck I was doing. But for some reason it worked. The kids played really hard. And y'all had a great team, of course, put it on us. And I think that's the only game we gave up more than 40 points, except for when we went over to Booneville. And you guys were really special that year. And the tradition at Hoxie, it runs very, very deep back to when Coach Sears started back in '99. And so, and you've been a part of that as a player and a coach. How special is that tradition over there in Lawrence County?
Oh, it's fantastic, man. I mean, like you say, it's all I've ever known because I came up as a ball boy watching us make those quarterfinal runs back in 07, 08, that time frame. We had some studs back then. And then getting to experience it as a player, my junior and senior years being able to win conference and making runs in the playoffs, and then still being in touch with everything during my time at UAM and coming back right into it, coaching. It's been fantastic, man.
Man, I love it. And, and now getting to be a part of it, it really is special. And, I saw it as an outsider, like, man, they've got something rolling down there. What's the secret sauce? Is there something in the weight room? Is there something in practice that they do that I don't? And that was one of the most exciting things when I took this job. Like, man, I get to see the secret sauce, but you ain't got to look that deep. It's that sense of community, that sense of brotherhood. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody loves each other. And I was like, wow, that's special, because it's not like somebody has a magic wand. It's everybody being on the same page, everybody working together and truly loving each other.
That's it, man. That's what Coach Sears has always said back whenever I was a player, still says it today. If you care about the guys out there with you, you're going to play hard not to let them down. We touched on that a little bit ago, and I believe it 100%. If you look at the difference between our athletes, my junior year to our senior year, obviously Cole can play.
Right.
But like Lyman went from looking up here to looking down there.
Right.
Skill guys, I mean, we weren't as talented on paper as these other teams, and we're still taking up to them because we're going to play like 11 crazy dogs.
Right.
And if you get that mentality, which we've had throughout the years, even as a coach, it takes care of itself.
Right. I felt that as a player the Saturday after we played y'all, our senior year the next day. There's a great clip I'm about to throw in there of Austin grabbing me by the V of the neck and throwing me to the ground. So that was whatever it is, what it is. But so really I'm 0-7 against Hoxie in my career if you want to add it up. But, I told Coach Sears this, the past is the past. And I mean, that was fun and stuff. But, man, just – being able to be a part of that and coaching with guys that I truly love, that's more special to me. And man, I'm ready to go win a bunch of games with you guys. I mean, I don't see this ending anytime soon. I think we've got a long, fun career ahead of us.
Absolutely, man. It's a joy to have you around.
Man, and it's a joy to be around you and around everybody else. So to finish this off, this is something new that I haven't really done, but I'm gonna give it a go. I've got 4 rapid fire questions that we're gonna kind of end this off on, and so try to answer these as quick as you possibly can. No thinking.
No thinking.
All right, off the rip. You ready to go? All right, favorite music artist of all time?
Ooh, Lil Baby.
Lil Baby, Morgan Wallen for me. 2 totally different people, but I do enjoy Lil Baby now. We play some Lil Baby in the weight room in the mornings when we're lifting together. So, I can get on board with him. Favorite book? You're a huge reader.
That's tough. The Count of Monte Cristo or East of Eden, aside from the Bible. Bible's got to be top tier. I actually read that cover to cover for the first time this previous year. But The Count of Monte Cristo and East of Eden are fantastic works of literature that I recommend to anyone who's got the time.
Absolutely. Other than the Bible, I'd probably go Friday Night Lights or the Hardy Boys series, the little mystery series, the 2 brothers back in the 60s. Those guys were pretty cool, but awesome. So favorite athlete of all time?
Ooh, Tom Brady.
Okay. I was going to say other than yourself, but that was a quick answer, quick and easy answer.
Hey, you got to ride with the GOAT now.
That's right.
I was a Patriots fan going up, goes back to Gunnar Cook. Man, I did not have a game system. So Gunner's my cousin. Went over to his place. He picked the Raiders, and he was their rival at the time in the early 2000s.
The Patriots.
He gave me the Patriots, and he was swacking me on the game. I was like, no, I like the Patriots, even though I knew nothing about them.
Right.
So I got to be a fan of them right whenever they started winning all those games. And
awesome.
Got to follow Tom Brady's career before I even knew what football really was. And he turned out to be a great guy to follow.
Right. If you asked me that question, I'd probably go on like a 10-minute rant. But other than my brother, I think I've got a big 4. And Baker Mayfield, Albert Pujols, Mark Martin, and then, of course, my little brother. So that would be my 4. I couldn't name one of them. Last question, most important one, the rapid fire. What is your order at J-Town's Grill, our favorite spot to eat at in Jonesboro, Arkansas? What's your J-Town's Grill order?
You know what? It's pretty hard to beat a Gooby Burger.
It's really hard to beat a Gooby Burger, man.
That Gooby Burger, you get some chips on the side, some ranch you're dipping in, or the other option, some spicy honey garlic wings.
Okay, let's go.
That sounds like a good thing to go eat.
If you don't know what a Gooby Burger is, by the way, once again, shout out to J-Town's Grill in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Me and this man have probably sat there, got to be close to, no joke, maybe 75 times in our friendship. I mean, heck, there were some points we were going out like 3 times a week, especially when it would snow and stuff. Shout out to J-Town's Grill. One of my favorite places to eat in this country, for sure. And it's just right down the road. A Gooby Burger is a huge cheeseburger, peanut butter. What jelly? Is it like a habanero pepper jelly or something like that? And bacon. Doesn't sound appetizing. give it a go. Give it a try.
So good.
It's pretty special. I'm a J-Town burger guy. I'm not as adventurous as you are. Yeah. But we might have to go get one like right now, actually.
You know what? I think it's about that time.
Is it time to get gooby?
It's time to get gooby now.
We might have to do that. Man, I can't thank you enough for really just driving over here and joining me in the first place on your day off. You could have done so many other things. So thank you for doing that, for one. And for two, man, for just being a good friend and all you've done in my life, for me, for my family. You've been a shining light the past 5 years, and I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. I don't tell you enough, but you've changed my life in so many ways, and you change so many lives on a daily basis. You make an impact, and you're special. So thank you for all you do, man. Thanks for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Man, thanks for having me on. It's been great.
Man, I guess I'll see you at J-Towns, and then I'll see you on Monday at work, right?
Sounds like a plan.
Episode 18, Austin Williams, my man. We'll see you next time.